You have no shortage of ideas for your product, and neither do your customers. Every day brings a new request, a new must-have feature, a new opinion of what you should build next. But building the wrong thing can cost you time, money, and trust. But the right feedback loop can turn that chaos into clarity, guiding your roadmap, strengthening your product, and keeping your customers coming back. In this episode, we're digging into how to capture the right feedback, make sense of it, and turn it into a better product. This is WP Product Talk.
This is WP Product Talk, a place where every week we bring you insights in product marketing, business management and growth, customer experience, product development, and more. It's your go-to podcast for WordPress product owners by WordPress product owners. And now, enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to WP Product Talk. I'm Zach Katz with Gravity Kit.
And I'm Amber Hinds with Equalize Digital.
And today we're talking about developing and paying attention to product feedback loops.
And that is why we have invited our guest, Elena Kartoshkina, today to join us on the show and talk about customer feedback. Welcome, Elena. How are you?
Oh, hello.
Please introduce yourself and what you do.
Nope.
I'm so sorry. I think I have some issue with the audio because I hear you twice.
Okay, not a problem. Well, while you figure that out, we're going to be talking about a product feedback loop where we listen to customers and take their feedback and enhance our products. Why is this important, Amber?
Yeah, I mean, I think as someone who is working on building software, you really have to be careful about where you put your time, because time is money. And it's really easy to say, oh, if I build this feature, more people will buy. And I will say that we have definitely done that before. Our multi-site add-on is 100%. Like, we had a bunch of universities like, we want to buy a 500 site license, but what's stopping us is that we don't have an easy way to roll it out. And so we built this feature, and how many of them actually bought?
How many?
Not a lot. and so I think like it's really important to be thoughtful about how you take customer feedback and how you roll that out to your products, and how you decide to let it shape your roadmap. Because if you put too much emphasis on the wrong things or not enough on the right things, then it could definitely not have a great business impact. So
I agree.
mean, that's why I think this is important. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, and on my side, one of the struggles that we've had for 11 years of Gravity View is that we've had a lot of customers asking a lot of questions for enhancements for us to prioritize certain features, and customer support gets, I don't know, 30, 40 tickets a day, and that's a lot of customers with a lot of different things, and a lot of those customer tickets are also kind of an enhancement request for our documentation as well. So how do you prioritize that? Like, what no customer is going to say, forget all the features. I want you to focus 100% on optimizing your documentation, even though maybe that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I have a big giant backlog right now that my partners would probably have right to complain about on things I need to update in our documentation. But it is hard. It's balancing all of that, How do you weigh that?
We're working on getting Elena back. But how, in the meantime, Amber, how do you take in feedback and from your customers about your products?
Yeah, so feedback for us can come in through a variety of different channels. Obviously, support tickets are a big one, which can either be support tickets submitted for our pro customers or the like WordPress.org things. We also have a Facebook group, and we also do office hours, which are Zoom calls with me that paid customers at certain plan levels can join. And so we can get feature requests through those as well. So that's how those come in. It looks like Elena is back.
Yeah.
Elena, we're happy to have you on now that you're back.
So
Would
sorry.
you introduce yourself for everyone, and then we can circle back to this concept of how we get feedback?
Absolutely. My name is Elena. I'm product marketing manager at Crocoblock. We are building solution for the dynamic websites in WordPress, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and Crocoblock has a lot of different functionality, a lot of so
A lot
that
of different feedback.
that's a lot
It
of
might be
feedback.
Yeah.
to describe it for anyone who's not familiar with Crocoblock, like what does it do, and how big is your customer base?
Well, we have 85,000 customers, and we build a solution for the dynamic, as I said, for creating the CPT, CCT, how you can have control in the WordPress, how you display your custom post types. So it's basically expand the basic functionality of the WordPress. If you need something custom, you can build any type of query, how you can display, to whom you display, with the conditional logic in it. So you can build very complicated things like job boards or multi-vendor marketplaces. All this with just 3 plugins, basically, not 20, just 3 of them. That is why there is a lot of functionality inside. So can you imagine build so many things with just 3 plugins? So you should put together a lot of things and make it really flexible. So that is why it's not easy. It's not like straightforward way. You have to figure out how to do this. It's it could be complicated, but it's worth it because it's about the performance. So your website, it's not it's have better speed in terms of its code. It's not overloaded with the different plugins. So has a lot of pros and cons, and that is why we have a lot of feedback. I mean, and a lot
And
of
how do you manage that feedback? Like across all, one of the problems we have at Gravity Kit, or one of the opportunities, one of the struggles that we have, is we have so many different plugins, and each plugin has its own GitHub repository with a list of issues where we track the items that people want, or like potential enhancements. And then we have for each ticket that comes in on Help Scout, we add a GitHub we added comment to the GitHub issue, and those comments represent upvotes for the features that people want. That's a really short summary of what we do. How do you track all the different feature requests that are coming into Crocoblock?
Well, it's really the vast amount of feedback that we are receiving from not only from GitHub. We also have this system with collecting the feature request there with the comments and upvote, but we also have the Facebook community with 35,000 people there. So they are posting every day something, and we keep tracking it. We
How do you
also
keep track of it? Like, what's that process like?
Well, we have a community manager. She's answering the question there, and if she see that this particular feedback would be really valuable for us in terms of because we using this feedback for many different things, but not only for the backlog actually, but also for the content creation, for the tutorials. So it's really use it for marketing, for ads. So she keep tracking it, and if she sees something interesting, she put it into the spreadsheet. So we use a spreadsheet there. But works for us. We have the categories and we have the importance. If she sees something, for example, that could be posted like the bug there, and she immediately sent it to the developer team to fix it, because the bug feedback have like the highest priority. We should fix all that and keep track on it. She also collected feedback from the YouTube comments. Actually, we had a lot from Reddit, from Google reviews, from Trustpilot. She do pretty pretty hard work.
Sounds
That's a
like
lot of
it's
different
like a
sources.
Yeah, too many.
full-time job to monitor all of your different channels. So
Yeah, but she did a really good job, and she also answering the questions. So she's not like only collecting the feedback. She's the community manager, so she helping our clients to solve the problem, because they came here to ask some questions what they can do, for example. And if she see that this is a feature request, or this is something we cannot do, or there is no solution, she take this and put it into our chat with all the feature requests from all the sources that we collect there. And after monitoring the dedicated developer monitoring if this is really feature request, so this is really what we can do. If he see that, for example, there is some solution, but the community manager or support agent didn't see the solution, so he writing down that it's possible, so you can do this and that, so it's not the feature request. And if it's really is, and we don't have such functionalities, so it passed to the internal system. We have like our custom developed platform for collecting all feature requests for all the sources. That's why we don't use only GitHub, because we have another sources for that. So in this custom system, we are categorizing the feedback and tracking the mentions, so how many times this feedback comes in. So if it gets some 10 plus votes, we will transfer it to the bi-weekly report for our CTO to be reviewed and to potentially go into the roadmap. So it's like really the structure, the funnel, how from the big west among the feedback, we get into something really valuable and trying to filter out that and put it into consideration, something that is really important, not only for one user, but for many of them, because we have the big user base.
Right. And how do you and I'd like to hear from you as well, Amber, on this. How do you decide how to categorize? Because at GravityKit, we have different metrics that we use for prioritizing. One of them is how important it is to the product itself. But the product is only one piece of our bigger suite of add-ons. So if the product is less revenue driving than some other product, then we might not want to prioritize development on that, considering that we have limited development ability. So we have importance to the product. We have importance like priority for the business, in terms of business priority for like how much money this enhancement or this bug or whatever will how directly correlated it is to revenue. And then we also have a scope for how much time it takes to develop, like how big is what we're talking about. And that way we can understand in the priority system, okay, we really want to do this, but it's going to take a couple of months to implement, as opposed to this equally important for the product feature might just take a few hours. So like knocking that out could have as much of an impact for the customer. Like how do y'all handle that?
do you want to go first, Elena?
Well, I think this is the most complicated part. This is where our CTO step in. So he have like 14 years of experience, and he has a lot of intuition on what to build, and he knows the code and everything and how every plugin is built. We have not only one. I explained how the jet engine works, but we have 21 of them. So, and we collect some feedback for all of the plugin. And also he have this we have, first of all, we have the product strategy, so our goals for this year, and he's deciding how this particular feature is fitting into strategy or not. And sometimes, or many times, I don't know exactly, feature request it's just feature request, but you should really understand what is inside, go deeper. I mean, understand the problem, where it comes from. So sometimes, I don't know, 5 to 3 feature requests, they say, I want this built in this way, but you see that all these feature requests, it's united by one problem. It could be solved in a completely different way, but it still be solved for all of them. So you should understand what is really you should understand the difference between the feature request and the problem that we want to solve. So, and we really focus on the problems to be solved, not only for one particular case, but for as many users as we can. So it's what he do in bi-weekly basis. So he put the notes. Sometimes there is some requests that's just impossible to do. I mean, in terms of our resources, we should stop everything and just build that for another 6 months. It's not really not really in focus. So it really depends. Sometimes it just this request could be the solution to this could be really well documented tutorial, not really feature build, or video or something like this. So yeah, it's every time very specific. There is no one way for all the feature requests that we can.
Yeah, we have it really resonates with me when you're like talking about how sometimes you get something where it's like, well, we could work on this for 6 months and do nothing else, and then it might not even be totally done, because we literally had this conversation earlier this year with Accessibility Checker. We were focusing a lot on building what's essentially like a SaaS integration for it outside of WordPress. That was driven by a lot of things, and we got, some decent progress, but it was really hindering development in the plugin and some other features that people were asking about, things that we wanted to do. So we ended up backburnering that and shifting back and sort of saying, one of the things that we're doing right now is we're doing 2-week sprints. So everything has to be able to fit in a 2-week sprint. And so any feature request that we get, it has to be able to be broken down, even if it's not like, we know that the final thing is not going to happen in 2 weeks, but it's like, what is the small concrete piece that can happen and get launched in 2 weeks? And then maybe the next 2 weeks, we could build upon that. But that is a big thing that we've been trying to do, because some feedback that we got was really that it's better for us to have more frequent, smaller releases than very spread out, huge releases.
Right. And those big releases also cause more headaches for the customer support and documentation side of things as well, and quality assurance.
100%. Yeah. So that's a way that we've been trying to measure some of this. I mentioned earlier in the episode when you got kicked off, Elena, but before you came back, that we had built something at the end of last year that we thought we had a lot of pre-purchase customers requesting, and they were saying it was a blocker to buying. And then we put time and effort into building the thing, and then they had other excuses about why they couldn't buy. And so that's a big thing that we have right now, which is that we are definitely prioritizing any features that come from someone who is already purchasing, not a free user. If they are a free user, then, if it's a bug, of course, we fix that. But feature requests from free users are very low priority for us, because what we have learned is that there's no guarantee. Even if someone says, if it had this, I will buy. No.
Yeah, unless they're signing a contract that says that, don't believe them.
Yes. Yeah.
Ian with Kestrel WP leads shared reach impact confidence scoring metric, confidence/effort scoring metric that Intercom uses. There are so many different frameworks out there that you can use to evaluate how important and how to prioritize issues. And this is one that I've also looked at before as well, from Intercom. So check out intercom.com/that whole link.
Yeah,
Where
this is the most simple and really working framework.
Yeah, and I loved what you were saying, Elena, about feature requests as part of a user story, and that so often customers don't understand what they're asking for, or they don't understand why they're asking for a specific feature, even though they should be asking for something else. There's the famous Henry Ford quote that said, like, if I did what the customers asked for, they would have had a faster horse.
Yeah.
And I think we're all kind of trying to translate user feedback into the actual functionality that fits into the user stories and the personas that we've developed. How does your support team take it from one to another? Like, you talked about a call where you go over stuff, but like, is it one person that reviews all these different things, or like, what's your process for that? And I'd love to hear from. How about Amber first to hear from how you do that?
How we map requests to user stories. Well, so I would say we have a pretty solid understanding of like 3 customers that or customer avatars, I guess, maybe would be a good way of putting it, that are our typical users or our best users, like people who purchase multiple licenses. Um, and so we can usually try and map requests to certain user groups in that way where we know, okay, this would benefit that group or potentially multiple groups. So something that we're working towards right now is being able to have email notifications of issues as the accessibility status of a website changes. And this is a request that's come from our agencies because they wanna be able to not have to log into all their client sites and
Yeah,
just get
right.
requests. It's also a request that has come from some of our, like, in-house, more institutional, users because they're saying, "Hey, I'm in the site all the time, but this stakeholder at my organization is not, and they just wanna get an email that tells them I'm doing my job." Right? It's not getting worse, that kind of thing. So, like, that's a request that we were able to map it to multiple people and sort of understanding, well, what so then we take that, okay, I want an email, and we have to say, okay, but what information do they want in the email? And that's where we kind of say, what are these stories? Who are they? What do they need the email to tell or do? Or like, what's the story? Because it's never as simple as, I need an email,
Right.
automated email every week, right? Because then we're like, well, they need to be able to set it to be weekly or monthly or quarterly, or do they need
What
to be able to set it
configuration for the different data is the data that's being shown is
Yeah,
necessary?
what data do they want in it? Um, do they need it just sent to people who have user accounts on the website? Because that's pretty easy. Or do we need to also add a field where they can then say, like, any email address can get this. They don't actually have to be a user on the WordPress website. And what does that mean? Right. So I think that's where we start to figure out, like, who's the specific customer, and like what are they trying to achieve with it? And then that allows us to shape, which I know we'll circle back to this in a minute, but better like shape the idea into something that a developer can build. Um, but what
And
about you?
Elena,
How do you
I
map
I'd love to
this?
hear what you're going to say, Elena, but I want to focus, or I want to highlight first Ian's follow-up that says that they have their support team at Kestrel fill out reach impact confidence submissions before we even look at it to reassess and add effort on our own. So they're having the support team do that themselves, which
You know, I'll say too, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'll say too, like, what is a little different about my company from maybe Kestrel or even like Crocoblock. Crocoblock has a very big team and 85,000 customers, right? Um, my company, the people who actively shape the plugin are me, our CTO Steve, our plugin developer William. right? Like we
that's a
have
limited team.
3
Yeah.
people who are actively working on the plugin. Now we have an accessibility specialist who tests it if we have stuff that need to be tested. But like the people who are actually doing this, and then our COO partner Chris does support. So he sometimes passes things along. But a lot of these processes, like even that, well, if I see a support request, I'm not going to go fill out some form. Do you know what I mean? Like it's such a small team that some of those processes don't make sense. And if you're a single plugin developer or just a partnership, you maybe don't need all these processes in the same way that a large company does.
How about you, Elena? How about how do you transfer do you do how do you take the customer support into action? Like how do you shape what is being built and prioritizing?
Well, the customer support is the huge source for this for the feedback and bug reports and requests, the feature requests. Our support team is publishing the feature request to the chat, and the developer review it. And if it's really a feature request, it goes to, I said it before, to the internal system. And what we do, we rely mostly on the volume. So if it's because we have really a lot of feature requests. So, and we need to understand if we will be like reviewing each feedback, it could take really long time to do this. So we reviewing the feedback that gets 10 plus mentions, and this feedback goes to the prioritizing framework, whatever what the CTO do in terms of deciding what to ship next.
And how do you determine the value of a feature?
Well, not value. Well, we should ask about this our CTO that do the things.
As a marketer, how do you see your perspective differently than the perspective of development or support? Like, do you often have different opinions on what needs to be done next?
Well, what I can do from my perspective, I can inform the product team in terms of market request if we are fitting into market, if we are okay in terms of must-have features or the competitor research. So this is what I do, and suggesting something that could be done, and the product team is decided if it's really will be done or not, and when. So that's how exactly the strategy is built. For example, when the goal is for expanding and growing, and we should grow year after year, and we should find the way how to grow. One of the strategy to grow is to expand like horizontally, and we decided to build the integration into another page builder. For example, the first page builder that we built for was Elementor. After that, we decided to expand to the bricks builder. Now we're building for Divi. So this is how the development marketing shaped the development strategy. Also, that's what we can bring to the table. But internal prioritization from the feedback is what the product team actually do. That's all.
I ran across Trello has a roadmap functionality that they have based on votes on different features, and it's kind of like a crowdfunding campaign where they have different levels of features that were going to be added based on different number of votes and number of users that actually use the feature that already exists. And I think that's really clever.
This is the problem in WordPress. We don't have the statistics what feature we
We
use.
don't. Yeah. but like they have okay, so we have tables and spreadsheets as a functionality that Trello has. 1,000 users started using it, so they added new column types. 5,000 started using it, so they added manual and automatic copy. Coming soon, when 10,000 people use it, they'll have table import / export. They have said what the roadmap is for a kind of category of feature, and promised enhancements based on usage, which I think is really clever. And you're right,
Yeah.
Elena, that as WordPress companies, we lack that type of metric.
So that's why we are relying on the
Yeah.
on the volume, so the votes, how
Yeah.
many times this particular feature came up from our clients. Feature request, I mean.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I remember what it's called, and I don't know if either of you do, but there is a like a plugin that's intended for product owners in WordPress to be able to take feature requests and
It's
get
called
upvotes.
Simple Feature Requests, and I believe you can do the same functionality using Crocoblock or Gravity View.
Mhm. Yeah, really any custom post
Yeah.
type, right? That allows people to do a front end submission and then other people to like
That's how
thumbs
we
up
built
it
our internal
or plus
system
one it.
using our plugin, actually.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think that the voting is useful, but I would say the thing that we always keep in mind too is just what is our end goal for our product. Obviously it is really important to keep your customers in mind, but sometimes people don't know what they're
Right.
missing. Right? And there may be really important features that your product has to have in order to maybe compete with an alternative solution, or to fill a gap in the marketplace that you have already identified. And so I think you have to balance a little bit out with what customers are asking for, but also what is this end goal that you have in mind for your
And
product
as an
as well.
example, I think we're all probably looking at the world of AI and customers. We've done surveys to try to understand how our customers are using it currently, what their clients and their customers are saying about what the expectations are that they have about their tools that they use and whether those tools integrate with AI. Currently, they're saying we use it internally, we might use it for research, but customers, clients aren't asking for it. Our customers, our clients are not asking for it. That doesn't mean we don't need to prioritize thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so integrating customer feedback with product roadmaps, honestly, at GravityKit, I do a bad job of roadmap planning. I like to go with the flow. I like to see, where the energy is, and the energy currently is in a couple of different products than we had planned on initially at the beginning of the year, and that's fine. But I'd love to hear how y'all integrate with what your plans have been and how you integrate new functionality and new features and news and like upcoming technologies and stuff into your existing roadmaps.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about that a little bit. We are really intentional. Every December, we sit down and we have kind of like strategic road mapping workshops where we talk about this and we create what our plan is going to be for the next calendar year. And then every July, we have another really in-depth, like, are we still on track?
It's
Do we
still,
need
you
to
got one
adjust
more
the
day, I
goals?
think. Yeah.
Um, yeah. But in between then, we also have monthly planning meetings. And I mean, I will say one of the benefits of having a small team is you can pivot
Right.
really fast. And so for us, we have been able to say, hey, something's happening in the WordPress ecosystem. We need to pivot in this way. Or to say, hey, we've been noticing a big growth on this side. We do with our pro customers when we're able to get more information about their sites because their sites have to call back for a license activation. And so we know what their URLs are. So, and we can also get like some basic data. So that is helpful because it could help us to be like, hey, maybe there's a builder or something that we need to have better integration with because we notice there's a lot of sites built with Beaver Builder or something, right? or just like people buying, coming to office hours, and we hear more and more questions about this specific thing coming up. So, you know, I don't know if we always follow what our roadmap was or stay tightly on it, because we try to be more flexible and to pivot as needed, when new things come out. But that said, we also, the downside of being small is you don't have a huge dev team that you could just be like, hey, go explore this idea. So we talked about the AI stuff kind of early, and are there places where we could integrate AI into the plugin? And then we had this whole conversation about, well, are we going to be selling people credits?
Right.
Are we going to have them put their own key in? How is this going to work financially? And for us, that ended up being a little bit of a roadblock, because we were like, we couldn't decide how we wanted to handle that. And now it's like, oh, well, WordPress might build this in. So then we were like, you know what? We don't need to jump on the AI bandwagon and be like, we have AI doing this thing for you, like all these other plugins, because it felt a little bit like a distraction from the other things we had already planned. So maybe if we had a huge dev team and we had developers that we could just be like, why don't you go create an MVP this month? That would be different. But because we are, smaller, we sometimes don't deviate from them. I don't know. It's weird. Like, we can pivot really fast, but we also sometimes can't explore as much as maybe some of the bigger companies can. What about you, Elena? How does Crocoblock handle all of that and the road mapping
Yeah.
and sticking to the plan or not?
Well, I feel that we cannot ignore this type of technology that come up and make this boom. I mean, the AI, it's like you don't know what will be next, but you feel like this really big deal. This will really drive a lot of changes. We don't know what changes exactly will be there, but still, we cannot say that it won't make any impact on the business and on the industry, on the WordPress, if we will not step in. And we decided to go actually there and to start to explore the thing, and start to step by step implementing some features into our plugins. The first what we did, it was the AI form builder form creation, so you can put the prompt inside the editor, and it will make the all forms and all structure layout for you with the content there. So, this is really useful, and our users do it, but it's not like users came to us and said, build the things because we want it. So, like Yudak said, it's not that something that it's okay. It's 2 years already, but still it's new, and we are exploring, figure out how to work with that. After that, we built the website structure builder. So when you can type the prompt, and it will create the back end structure and relationship between your posts, build filter that you need, create the custom post type that you explained in your prompt. So, and you will see all the structure of your website before it will be created, like in the database view with the connections and things. So, and it's really cool feature. As for me, you can start building the website really, really fast. So you don't have to do this manually, creating all CPTs and all meta fields and filling this out. So AI will do this all for you. And we're exploring this, and now the MCP come up, and the WordPress are building into the MCP, and we try to figure out what can we do there. Because it's just the intuition and feeling that we should follow the trend.
Yeah, I mean, so much of what we do as product makers is intuitive, in
Yeah.
part because there's the survivor problem with people who contact support are the people who either really need something or have something that's really broken and it's not working for them. So the people who are contacting support are the edge cases,
Yeah.
and everybody else might be properly served by our documentation, might have an excellent time with our plugin and have love it to pieces, and we don't know what or why they're having that experience sometimes. So in the past, to address this at GravityKit, we've sent out surveys to get feedback, and we've tried to have customer calls with people who are happy and not just people who aren't happy with and contacting support. How do you both, Amber? How do you hear from customers that aren't contacting support?
So our office hours is really helpful for that.
But that's people who are
Sometimes,
available at a
but I
specific
guess that
time
is
on a
kind
live
of like a
call.
support.
What's that?
Yeah. Yeah. How do we hear from people that don't contact support and don't?
Who aren't
I have,
engaged?
yeah, I have tried to send out surveys. But I have the same thing, which is where we did do a survey. I'm trying to think. At the end of last year when we were working on our roadmap, we did do a survey. We sent it out to our email list. I think we got 80 to 100 responses, which is not bad.
Yeah.
But off of 7,000 plus people email list, it's like nothing, right? So it's kind of interesting. We did use that to help us shape our roadmap. But for all I know, like some of those people are people that we knew already, and they would have they just validated what we already knew that they had previously told us. I don't know. I mean, I think the people that are really quiet and that you never hear from, they don't take a survey, they don't contact support, maybe they're happy and they're fine and you don't have to worry about them. Because if they had a problem or they were thinking about canceling, then they would be contacting support in theory. We do have a cancellation survey now that's required. It's like a single, well, maybe two questions, depending on what you answer in the first question, when you cancel. And depending upon what they say, they do sometimes get follow-up, like a personal email or phone call if we have their phone number. And so we can use that sometimes to shape our roadmap. I mean, obviously we try to win them back, but sometimes you just can't. And so it might be, hey, X number of people have said this thing, and so therefore we need to adjust this in our roadmap or make this feature a higher priority because it is a cancellation reason. But sometimes you don't hear from those people until they've canceled.
Right.
So
yeah, true. I don't know how to spoke to someone who is not contact the customer support because I don't know. I never did this kind of investigation. We launched a survey this year and previous year also we do this kind of regularly, and but I see that only 1% of the users like answering them. For a little bit increase the level of the response. What I did, I put the first question into email and put the links with the answers, and people like click it and go to the actual survey, and this first question will be filled automatically from the URL, and it works really well. So yeah, but I don't know if these people are like never contact the support or not, so never ask that question.
One of the things that we're planning on doing eventually, ideally sooner rather than later, but it's not a business priority, but it kind of is. We haven't really figured out how to prioritize it yet, Elena and Amber. That's something we need to work on. Is adding some additional metrics in terms of how people are using the plugin. We want to do this in a privacy-preserving way that isn't invasive, but we also want to know, hey, how many people do people actually use this setting that we have enabled, and or are they not using it? Can we strip it out? Is this a feature not something we need to support moving forward? Or are people using our tools in ways that we don't expect them to, and that we can better improve that functionality for them in the future. So we're going to be adding post hog, which in order to track things like the fields that people add to a view that are configured, like understanding how many fields and what type of functionality people are actively using, because we're flying blind in so many different ways. We do surveys. I love your tip, Elena, about autofilling the first question. I also suggest autofilling their email. Like,
Yeah, we
yeah,
do this. Yeah.
and we do that in customer support as well, where when we have it, Help Scout allows you to pre-fill information in the link using a merge tag type of thing. And so we often have merge tags that click into a form that pre-fill data so we can associate with a customer ticket, for example, and not have to have them say like, well, here's your ticket ID, please put this in the form. So automations are a great thing. And I want more metrics, and I think PostHog is going to help us get there.
So our survey, we did not connect with customer accounts or require them to tell us who they are. That was optional.
Neither did
which
we,
I think
because
is kind of helpful,
privacy.
because I think
Yeah.
you can get better feedback sometimes if people feel like they can be anonymous.
Yep.
So it was optional. They could tell us who they were. We had a required field to ask them if they were a free or a paid user, because we wanted to be able to filter their responses based on that.
Right.
But we had no way of validating it. So somebody could have said, I use the Pro plugin, even though they don't. Right. But in theory, they were honest about that. I don't know.
And one of the problems that we have as plugin companies is that our pricing is very different than enterprise SaaS companies that have, contact us for an enterprise plan. Like WordPress plugins, we have, you just buy the number of sites. Congratulations. But I think that one of the surveys that we have been running recently that have we have it as an automatic follow-up to our customer support ticket process now, that like an autoresponder says, click here to fill out this survey. We're incentivizing that survey with a $10 survey Amazon gift card.
Because does it work for you?
Yeah, so because it's valuable information for us to know, and we're going to be one of the things we're asking is, are you an existing customer? Do you have the amount, like what's the size of your company? How many new websites do you create per year? What's your role? Like, we're trying to get more information about our customers and our potential customers in order to shape our product and the shifting needs of the clients that we serve, because our clients have evolved to be bigger than they were 10 years ago. So I think paying attention to what's that?
Did adding the incentive of getting an Amazon gift card get you more responses?
It's gotten me more things that I need to do every week to pay out the surveys. I don't know. We haven't split tested the survey with and without the incentive, but that's a good question, Amber.
Yeah, and in terms of the survey, what I see that with this 1%, it's not really representative sometimes, and you don't know if you can act on this information or not, or just biased, or because we came up receiving the answer from the same people,
Right.
Yeah, some are very active, and really we are really proud and thankful to our clients to be that active. But sometimes we don't know if it's really representative for all of the clients or not.
Does Crocoblock have an advocate program, not just an affiliate program, but like a way to give your most active users, your most enthusiastic users, a bigger platform for sharing what you do?
Oh, we have blog posts. We have the acknowledgement of the Made with Croco, so the part of our website where our clients can post the website, what they did with Crocoblock, and periodically launch the competition, like what of the best website of the month, for example. So kind of these things. And we also yeah, I think this is what we do.
Right.
Yeah. Do we want to talk a little bit about, because we were talking about shaping features and things like that. We had a slightly pre-live conversation about Basecamp's shape up methodology, which I think you have the book hanging out there, Zach. And it is really interesting. I recommend that book to people, Shape Up. You don't have to have the regular book. You can find it just like on a website and
We
read
have a
it
free
for free.
PDF.
Yeah, there's a free PDF. Also, I found an audiobook that someone not associated with Basecamp, but it's a free PDF, so you could listen to it also. And we tried to do that a little bit, and then we realized we thought our team was too small. What we've been doing to shape things actually pretty recently is it's almost like creating a mini MVP. It's so weird when we're small. So a thing we recently launched in the plugin just like last week was a something that put more information about different issues and what web content accessibility guideline success criterion they violated, like a bunch of the stuff, which a lot of customers have been saying we really need more information about this and how to prioritize it. And I had started to be like, well, I could get all this information in a spreadsheet, then I could hand it over to our dev team with maybe like some wireframes or something about where I go. And then I started to realize, well, one, we're trying to get these into 2-week sprints. And we're just such a small team that for me, like doing all that just felt like extra work. So how I started doing it, and I wonder if I can share this actually. Let me see if I can pull this up because I think it's kind of interesting. But I had started doing this thing where I was like, well, you know what? It probably makes more sense for me to just create a branch and started getting, because I had to get all this data. And I was like, well, I could put it in a spreadsheet and then I could make them have to turn it into JSON or whatever. So I ended up like just going and on a branch, creating some data and then putting it out into the table that already existed. So I just started shaping it in the plugin instead of creating designs first, like doing all that stuff. I had issues getting the SAS to compile. So the way I styled all this was I got the data in the table and then I just opened my browser inspector. I like put CSS on it in the browser inspector and then I screenshot it and I was like, here's your design. Go figure out how to make this actually work. But so I kind of like output, this was a thing that I was changing, but I just started building it in the plugin. And then I created this Basecamp message because this is primarily where we talk to each other is in Basecamp. We use Linear also for like road mapping and planning now. But I kind of said this was a thing I hadn't touched. It still needed to be done. And then we just started having this conversation about like, what are the questions? What do they need to do? Right. And Steve's like, well, hey, I don't understand what this means. So then I explained it and I was, and what came out of it was we were like, oh, maybe we actually need to use the built-in WordPress feature for help and put these explanations on the screen because Steve wasn't going to be the only one who had questions about what do they mean. So this is kind of how
nobody uses that. So like determining whether it is the right place.
I don't know. It's interesting. That's where we landed. That's where we put it.
Yeah, that makes
I think he
sense.
might have a screenshot on here somewhere. But yeah, so like that. But it's kind of interesting. Like I almost started shaping by just doing because I felt like with us, it just slowed me down to like put things in a doc or create a wireframe or a Figma file or whatever that might be. And I just kind of was like, here's my idea. Can you finish it? And I've kind of started putting the code in already. And I'm curious, how are you all handling that with your different team sizes? Are you doing this kind of start to build it as an MVP? Or are you actually shaping them out somewhere else? What does this look like for your two companies?
For my team, we kind of do a mixed thing where for issues that come in for support based enhancements that customers are asking for. We take that customer support ticket, and currently the initiative that I've been trying to propose and push is to make sure that everything is scoped is presented in a way on the GitHub issue that it's clear enough that a human can read it, but it's also clear enough so that an AI can read it. The goal is to be able to have all of our tickets be enhanced enough and scoped out enough so that an AI can look at it and actually implement it in the future. That would be really cool, right? But then I and the rest of the dev team, as far as I know, does this as well. I sometimes am inspired, and I like to take that inspiration and just try something out and see, okay, how hard is this? Can I just whip this up and get an MVP ready for a customer that has requested this and send it to them and get their feedback? Because that's always super helpful. I think that's probably not the best way to do it, but I mean, part of business is fulfilling our own inspiration. So I do like to do it that way as well. How about Crocoblock, Elena?
Interesting. Well, every issue, every feature that we are building that are in our roadmap is in the GitHub. It should be there. We have a public GitHub, and our private GitHub, and everything should be there. So in issues, it should be documented, and the dev team actually work on the documents and on the description of the feature that will be built. Or sometimes the client issue goes to our roadmap because it's really good documented. So
And do you know if the dev team just like randomly builds stuff that they want to build, or are you more
no, it
structured?
will. The CTO decides the priority, what should be built, and he formed the roadmap. But everything should be documented on the GitHub, what goes to
Right.
the roadmap or not. Yeah.
Does he shape things like, this is what we're going to build and here's the design and here's your instructions? Or does he say, this is what we're going to build and then hand it off to like a designer or a developer to come up with the more detailed idea and instructions for what needs to be built?
Well, actually, not really aware of the process inside of the product team, so I cannot tell.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's totally fair.
Well, we've gotten to the point in our conversation where it's time for us to give the best advice that we have for customers who are trying to leverage the customer feedback loop. And mine, I'm going to start. My best advice is have a system outside of your customer support help desk for tracking features, and then try to go through and figure out how valuable they are and how much time it will take. Use the intercom. Use a way to structure things that makes sense to you and follow it. I think having a process is the first step and the most important step. So that's my best advice. How about you, Elena?
From my perspective, you should really learn how to listen to your customers, and the system is one way to be able to really listen and not be into this buzz and house of the incoming feedback. You should have this really structure in terms of being able to act after that, and you should really follow your customers, because I think this is the way. That's how we do the Crocoblock, and I think it's working. Yeah.
So my advice, and kind of following on that, using your customers is, we really have gotten a lot of success with, like I was saying, our office hours calls. Like, sometimes they're not just support, like we'll float ideas, we'll say, this is what we're going to work on next. And I think take advantage of those people who are advocates, who show up, who tell you things. So the thing that I showed, we went back and forth on the design of that table a little bit. And I actually ended up sending some screenshots out to a couple of our users and saying, what do you like better? You're someone who've asked for this. What do you like better? And that was really helpful because since we are small, like going out and getting that feedback, I'll say I've also noticed there's a couple of other plugin companies, like the events calendar is one where they have like an events calendar friends Slack, and that's where people can just give them feedback. Like special people that are like their advocates, just users that they know use a lot or have a lot of licenses. So I think when you don't have a big team, if you set up that process for getting feedback as you're building something, it's going to release better because it's not just you or you and two other people at your company looking at it. So
that's good advice, everybody. And that's a wrap for our episode. Elena, thank you so much for joining us. And where can people find you online?
Oh, I have the LinkedIn. I think this is the best way to find me online. Or post status. I have Slack. If someone is there, I will be happy to chat.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone who tuned in, thank you so much. Next week, our co-host Matt will be back with Zach, and they'll be talking with Brian Gardner from WP Engine about the current state of the WordPress block theme market. So put that on your calendar now if you're interested in WordPress block themes.
Yeah, and special thanks to Post Status for being our green room where we coordinate these episodes. If you're enjoying our show, please do us a favor, hit like, subscribe, share it with your friends, reference this show on your newsletters, and don't forget to tune in next week. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.